Welcome to Experts Talk, the new podcast by the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam, designed to dive deep into key topics shaping Vietnam's role in today's global affairs. In each episode, we'll hear from leading experts as they share insights, perspectives, and analysis on the challenges and opportunities facing businesses and professionals with interests in Vietnam. In this fourth episode of our series, we're joined by Davide Calí, an Italian advisor, investor, and founder working in the tech and financial industry for more than 30 years. As advisor, he mentored and tutored more than 100 startups and fostered a community of more than 200 founders. Together, we'll explore Vietnam's bold plan for its financial sector, launching an international financial center and establishing a national startup fund. Stay tuned as we unpack complex global dynamics with those who know them best. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Davide Calí. I'm a tech investor and advisor with 30 years of experience. I live in Shanghai for 7 years, and 3 years ago, I moved to Saigon. Besides running my venture capital business, I was recently appointed as chief advisor of the Vietnamese National Startup Support Center. Thanks to ICHAM for inviting me today. I will talk to you about Vietnam's ambitious plan in the financial sector to launch an international financial center and a national startup fund, two strategic initiatives that could reshape Vietnam's roles in the region. So to set the context a little bit, when we talk about Vietnam International Financial Center, we're not just talking about another real estate development plan project. What's happening here is strategic positioning. Over the past decade, Vietnam has transformed itself into one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, averaging 6-7% GDP growth and attracting record levels of FDI. The IFC is designed to leverage this momentum, positioning Vietnam as a regional hub for capital flows, cross-border investment, and fintech innovation. This isn't just about competing with Singapore or Hong Kong. It's about integrating Vietnam into the global financial ecosystem, connecting local companies, startups, and investors with international markets. There is, however, a more important mission. At a press conference held by the Prime Minister in Ho Chi Minh a few weeks ago, the statement of intentions was clear. The IFC will not be merely an experiment, but the main engine of growth for the country in the coming decades to achieve the national goal of becoming a developed country. Why IFC matters? The IFC aims to do three critical things. Attract international capital by providing transparent regulations and investor-friendly frameworks. To build a modern national infrastructure, Vietnam will need between 5 and 10 trillion USD over the next 20 years. 1.5 trillion USD is the estimate for the next 5 years only. Second objective, to offer regional financial connectivity so Vietnam can become a gateway between Asian region, China, Gulf countries, and Western markets. Finally, to enable innovation in financial services, from digital payments to blockchain-powered infrastructure. Vietnamese laws are outdated, and IFC can be the driver to leapfrog the legal framework as well, from sandbox to national legislation. The IFC, by the law approved a few months ago, is regulated on the national level, but we will have a dual city structure, one in Ho Chi Minh City and one in Da Nang. Ho Chi Minh will be focused on institutional and infrastructure funds, and Da Nang into innovative technology like blockchain and startups. The IFC will be open to innovative companies as well. The goal is to create an alternative for Vietnamese startup to set up an old company offshore, like in Singapore or Hong Kong. The IFC will operate under specific regulation, allowing for English language usage, common law principles, and international arbitration for dispute resolution. It will feature special provisions for capital flows and tax treatments, including potential capital gains exemption, as permitted currently under Vietnamese legislation. There will be also special mechanisms to deploy capital directly into Vietnam. Details will come in the following months, though, but the introduction of the IFC is already happened on the 1st of September. It is just the beginning, and a lot has to be done still. Some of the critical points are, for example, regulatory consistency, talent development, and partnerships with global financial institutions. But the determination of the government is building momentum, and many international players are noticing it. Let's talk now about the National Startup Fund, fueling innovation. This is another critical implementation. Today, Vietnam has 4,000 plus active startups, but most of them face the same challenge: limited access to early stage capital. Traditional banks are risk averse, and local VC are still developing. The fund directly addresses this gap. I'm one of the advisors supporting the establishment of the Vietnam National Fund, so I can share some insight from the last official workshop with government and industry leaders that happened in Hanoi a few weeks ago. MOST, the Minister of Science and Technology, is setting up a sovereign investment holding to create several vertical funds. Some of the proposed ones are, for example, one for venture capital, one for advanced manufacturing, and one to invest in international tech companies, and one for infratech. However, the list and the structure are not yet definitive. The fund will be established through legislation. The expected date should be the 1st of October, with the framework law having received initial approval, while detailed implementing provisions are currently being drafted and reviewed in accordance with Vietnamese legislative procedures. What's interesting about this fund is not just the support coming from the money, but it's about the opportunity to build an ecosystem, providing seed and growth stage funding for high potential startups, facilitating mentorship from seasoned founders and industry experts, creating bridges between domestic startup and international investors. Imagine a Vietnamese startup building next generation renewable energy storage. With the fund, they get early capital and technical guidance. Through the IFC, they gain access to global investors and distribution partners, or can list in the proposed new Vietnamese security exchange platform, tentatively called VNext. That's the synergy that could transform Vietnam's startup landscape. To fully realize this potential, Vietnam must continue developing its regulatory framework for cross-border capital flows, updating financial regulation in accordance with international standards, and implementing policies to attract global talent, all within the scope of applicable Vietnamese laws and regulation. What are the challenges we have to watch? While the vision is compelling, there are also critical challenges. Regulatory alignment is the first. Investors want clarity on tax, repatriation, and compliance rules. The talent gaps is another one. Both the IFC and startups will need more financial engineers, AI experts, and fund managers. A global competition, finally, I think, is the third point. Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai are already competing fiercely for fintech leadership. Moreover, more than 100 other IFC exist worldwide. How Vietnam navigates these issues will determine whether the IFC becomes a true regional powerhouse or just a symbolic project. So, what are my closing thoughts? Vietnam is entering a defining decade. The combination of global capital access through the IFC and domestic innovation powered by the Startup Fund could make Vietnam a key player in Asia economic transformation. For founders, this is an opportunity to think bigger. For investors, it's an opportunity to diversify early into a rapidly growing market. And for policymakers, it's a call to build frameworks that inspire confidence. The next 5 years will be decisive, and what happens now will define Vietnam's position on the global innovation map. The ambition of the country goes beyond the status of developed country. The aim is clearly to become the new Tiger of Asia. Although Vietnam is part of Asia, it aspires for history and also geographic position to be able to sit at the same table with South Korea and Japan. A lot of challenges are ahead, but I personally believe Vietnam has concrete chances to achieve its targets. Thank you for listening. And if you have questions or comments or feedback, please reach out to me. Usually the best way is through my LinkedIn page. Thank you, everyone, again.